Return to Wisdom is a space where we will explore subjects like relationship, motherhood, and health through a new lens, bring a curious mind and an open heart, and get ready to delve into the deep with your host, Kashia Tonyazzini. Before we get into today's show, I firstly want to thank you for being here. It is because you tune in each week that I'm able to continue on, and I really appreciate your support. Secondly, if you enjoy the content, please head on over to the homepage of the show. Hit subscribe, like, share, and please review the channel. It would mean the world. This is a small way you can contribute to better guests and greater conversations. Now, without further ado, you're listening to Return to Wisdom with Kashia. Welcome everyone to the podcast. Today I have Chloe Pacey in the studio. Some of you might know Chloe Pacey. She is a mother of 5. She is a thought leader in my eyes.
And a regular here.
and you may have noticed her around the traps here. No, Chloe is a podcaster. She is also a homesteader and homeschooler and one of my best friends. So welcome, Chloe Pacey.
Thank you. I'm actually, well, firstly, I'm so happy to be sitting in one of your little dream come true studios. You and Togger have done an amazing job. And I'm also really happy that you've continued to this part where you're actually interviewing me and that you didn't just not do a podcast anymore, because that would have been silly.
And why would I not be doing a podcast anymore? Maybe we should start there.
I dumped your ass.
You broke up the band.
Yeah, we broke up over at the Road to Wisdom podcast, which I know is disappointing for a lot of people. And it was disappointing for you. Yeah. Somewhat disappointing for me. But I feel like I'd had the call for a while, really, since giving birth to Ollie. I mean, 5 kids. How dare I not have it in me to continue?
I know. Weak.
Honestly, I mean, some would say I was weak. But no, I just felt like that I had to get really intentional with my time and my energy. And I was also obviously very consistently making it the Kashia show, because I wasn't really doing anything. To be completely transparent, my time and my energy just could not stretch far enough. And so we had to make the call. But
it wasn't even just Ollie. You guys had a lot of big shifts in that one space of time. Like, you moved to the land straight away, and then all of a sudden you were homesteading life, which looks so picturesque on Instagram.
Homeschooling, figuring out stuff, supporting Brenton, probably taking a back seat in a way to support him more. And life got real busy with a whole bunch of other dreams, and I had to just be honest with that and be more intentional with what I was doing and how I was spending the time. And I thought I could do it all. And don't we all? And eventually that could no longer be covered up. The fact that I could not, in fact, do it all and do it well. We broke up. And
I cried for about a month.
Yeah. It was pretty brutal. But also I definitely wanted to make sure that we could separate the podcast and just remain friends. And that was one of the most important things for me, because I felt like that was getting sticky. I was like, oh, this doesn't feel good. I feel like I have to do this and I have to do that, and I just don't want to let her down and blah, blah. And then I was like, there was definitely a sticky little hot minute there. And I was so, I'm glad that
we figured our shit out.
We chose each other.
We chose love.
I chose you over the podcast. So I'm sorry if that's disappointing for, all our listeners. And but the show goes on in a different way.
We're closing this chapter, and I, who is exceptionally keen on this and probably half the reason why you did it for a year longer than you wanted to.
She's pushy.
Well, Well, I just, you were putting some signs out there and I refused to look at them and just kept going ahead. But
look, I don't blame you.
Yeah, look, we had started something great and I had the energy to keep going into it. But I will be channeling that energy into a new chapter, which is exciting. So maybe I'll ask everyone now. We will be putting half of this episode up on the Road to Wisdom. The second half will be on my new platform, which is Return to Wisdom, which is a very easy name, so everyone can find it really easy. I'm pretty sure if you type Road to Wisdom in, Return to Wisdom will come up under there somewhere. So it is nice and simple. And I'll be continuing having conversations, and Chloe will be my guest, hopefully.
I'll be a regular.
I can nail you down.
I'll be a regular.
Yeah, I'll be nailing you down. You better be listening to my podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even listen to our own podcast.
This is how committed.
Yeah, I'm very committed. No, I will. I'll try to learn to be more of a headphones in and do what you do.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm going to be listening to as much as I can.
You better.
Yeah.
I'll send you like the particular ones that I'm like, mate, we got to talk about this.
Yeah. You're going to have to just like break it down and timestamp the important parts. But anyway.
Seriously. Okay. So usually with our solo chats, we generally just wing it because we're a bit brain dead and sometimes it's done very last minute because we've got a last minute cancellation. But we have actually booked this in. So I came prepared with questions for my guest.
Heavy hitting me with like the most politically charged, culturally charged questions as if have written a book on this.
Yeah,
but
basically.
I have not. So far away.
All right. So the last time we spoke about patriarchy and feminism, we did like an off-the-cusp conversation, and I'm pretty sure everyone is aware that we pre-record our episodes, 10 kids between us, got to do it, and we just managed to post that one around the exact same time as the internet decided to blow up on feminism and the patriarchy.
Well, it's because those two guys... that little thing went viral.
Yeah,
and
the pocket.
The pocket, yeah. And I think there was a whole bunch of other stuff with like Abby Lee maybe getting hammered by
Abby Chatfield.
Yeah. Oh, not Abby Lee. Apologies, Abby Lee. You're not listening to this, but you may be. And what's her name? Constance.
Constantine.
Clementine. We are so in with the feminists.
We are like solid, hey.
Yeah, so that happened.
Forward.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So that happened. The pocket guys
week.
Happened. Yeah. And then everything just, whew. So yeah, we were definitely getting some heat around that.
We did. We copped a little bit. So it was just per chance that all kind of released at the same time. Since then, what have you learnt or discovered around feminism and the patriarchy?
Well, that whole thing, I remember when all that was going down, it was actually a time where I was really taking a step back and just observing everyone's reactions and everyone's hysteria and everyone's like emotions really bubbling. And I thought that was really interesting because everyone had something to say, and none of it, when I was looking at it, I've obviously looked at the conversation and then I'm looking at the reactions, and the reactions don't really match, for me, didn't match what these guys were trying to say. And I couldn't really understand how all these women were so upset about what these guys have said. And I'm not saying I'm right, and I'll give a little recap of what I actually think they were trying to say. I actually think they were just trying to say.
And for the record, maybe I'll just quickly say it's Chris Griffin. I forget who he was interviewing, but it wasn't even their whole conversation, which I did listen to. It was just that one reel that went nuts and got picked up by a couple of the influencers around the traps.
Yeah, so basically he was just like, from my perspective and my experience and coming off the back of all the conversations that we've had on the podcast about polarity, masculine, feminine, being in partnership, I took it as exactly what we'd learnt. I was just like, and I was like, oh yeah, that's a no-brainer. Of course, that's amazing. It's awesome to see a young guy talk about this, and it's awesome to see that he's kind of you know, feeling this at such a young age. What a blessing. And I felt like he was saying that he really wants to be able to financially support a woman so she can do whatever she wants. And I think the problem was that he used the worst like Gen Z terminology of saying that. Like maybe he should have left the hot girl walks and collecting postcards part out of it. But if we can just not be so silly and like look at it for what it was, he was just saying he wants to be able to financially support a woman so she can spend her time and energy doing whatever she wants and it makes her happy. So when she's happy, he's happy, they can reunite at the end of the day and they're both happy and they both support each other's mission in life. However, that was not what most people were feeling. And so to answer your question about what I think about it, I think that, gosh.
What do you think? I know, and you've been through the traps like between then and now as well with like learning about culling cows and stuff. So like your mind's definitely been on feminism, right?
Okay, well if you want to talk about that specifically, we can, because that might give some context to maybe how I feel. But basically also around that time I really had to take a step back, obviously with the podcast, because in partnership and this family dynamic, when you have dependents and you have things and you have young children, what I think people miss out on understanding is that women can't be pregnant, have a baby, go through postpartum and then breastfeed for the recommended amount of time, which let's be honest is like around the 2-year mark and beyond, and honestly go and have a career in doing whatever the heck they want and call that like, you can do that if you want to, but biologically you cannot provide for your child and do that. It just doesn't, unless you're going to wear a baby on your chest all day and go do your thing, it's unlikely that that's going to be successful. Like you can't do both. And so my opinion is that to be biologically providing what is biologically normal and right for your child, you most likely can't be a boss bitch. And even in my dynamic where Brenton obviously has the capacity to earn enough money for all of us and I don't have to go to work, but I couldn't even really support him doing that just by coming and doing like a couple of days of podcast work or so. It's like your whole, I don't know, there has to be like, it seems like there has to be a clear, you're doing that and I'm doing the kids and the farm and that's my lane and your lane is literally leaving and going to work and doing whatever you need to do without thinking about me in any capacity other than just like obviously the normal stuff, right? Like emotionally supporting and whatever. And then so there's that. So I feel like that is how I feel about, is it possible to do all these different things and should we think that we can do it both, or like can you be a mum and biologically provide? It's not just like what you think is right, it's like what is right for your child. That's kind of where my thoughts come, is what is the best thing for your child, because I think in the feminism conversation it's really woman-centered, it's not child-centered or family-centered, it's just about the woman and it's quite self-centered, I feel, even though the roots of it are more like, making the world a safer place for a woman, making her, not a slave to, doing the laundry with a rock, like whatever, we don't have to talk about, like they're the obvious things. But I think modern day feminism is quite self-centered in that.
Well,
do you know what I mean?
Look, I went down a rabbit hole because we like threw some words around like patriarchy and feminism and like didn't have anything backing it or supporting it, So I went deep and I started with Carrie Gress's book, End of Woman. And she breaks down feminism. She's got another book, I haven't read it yet, but she actually goes through each of like the prominent feminists of like from, I think it's 1700s was Mary Wollstonecraft, and she was like the OG. And she gives a history of all these women and like what they fought for and what they achieved and how it is so unsupportive of like any family dynamic, any kind of community commitment, and it like essentially is part of the family breakdown. And children being like left in the, in the dust.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I listened to her book, and then I had a look at like, okay, feminists of our time, or not even our time, feminists through the times. And each woman was like asking for something more. So like she opens her book with this, painting this picture of Hester, I can't remember her last name, but I'll give a summary. It was kind of like this woman in the 1700s falls in love with a man, migrates with him from A to B, finds out that he has a wife and family already. So she gets left out on the streets, ends up working as a maid, gets raped by her employer, ends up pregnant and kicked out of their facility, has to find a place. It's like some attic somewhere, gives birth by herself. The baby dies and she gets sentenced to death because of manslaughter. So it like that is like the picture that she opens with, and it's hectic. And like this is where feminism started. It's like this is the shit that was kind of happening too regularly, and it's not okay. And we're all very grateful for those first feminists. All those feminists seem to have a lot of trauma and terrible relationships with men. And as you like move up the ranks, and I've got the names here. Should I read it out? Okay, so like we've got Simone de Beauvoir, who wrote The Second Sex. Her work was around like women or female roles as being a social social construction rather than an actual something that supports gender. We had Betty Friedan, who wrote Feminine Mystique, and she was the one who basically said that any woman who like cares for the house and for the children is oppressed. And that's what like the start of that one. Gloria Steinem, everyone's heard of her. We named one of our chickens after her accidentally. And she was the one for like for political rights for women. So voting, abortion rights, equal pay, that kind of thing. And like so we've got like all these women who have fought like for more and more and more. Now we have all those things. We have all of it. But we still have a group of women who feel like, one, it could be taken away in a moment's notice, and two, that it's still not enough. We're still oppressed. If a woman chooses to be a mother and a wife and have children and stay with those children, even if that is scientifically great for her biology and for the children's biology, where like, you know, Erica Commissar's work is all about the buffering of stress and all of like just we have science that backs all that now. That is you're choosing, you don't see that you're oppressed.
Yeah, this is what we spoke about the other day where I read those comments about saying there are some people who say that women who choose to be mothers and wives and even stay-at-home mums and wives do not see that they're oppressed because they're ultimately brainwashed by the social construct, which I find insane because unless you are a mother or a wife and have a supportive partner, you don't know how good it is. Like if I had to go to work every day and also consider my kids going to daycare and all of these things, I cannot tell you how wired my nervous system and my body would be. So if we're only looking at it from what people think is socially right and wrong versus the reality of your biology and your physical body and your health and what it means to truly thrive, you can't have it both. And it's like that saying of, you know, I tell my kids all the time, you can have whatever you want, but you can't have it all. And like you can do whatever you want, but you obviously can't do it all. And I think the same thing applies in this sense. It's like women can do it all. And now we can. Doesn't mean we should.
We have the options.
We have the options, but it doesn't mean we should. And, you know, for sure there should be rules and laws and things to keep women safe still. Like that's just a human rights problem. It's not really like, I don't see it as something that we should be
constantly gender warsing about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And the constant like needing, you know, calling your husband, you know, a child and refusing to do his laundry or refusing to wash his dishes. It's like that perspective or how you perceive that as like lazy or whatever. Whereas like, I'm sure, I don't know, it confuses me that we can't see, or that some women can't see that is like a duty of, you know, it's actually nurturing, or it's your perception that is warped. It's like, okay, cool. You don't want to pick up a stinky jock. It's most likely not you make it out to be this horrible ordeal. Like, sure, it's like there's sloppy and there's just like looking after your partner while he literally does his role and you do yours. I don't know. It may sound like really oppressive when I say that, but
here's the thing that like stuck with me around all of that is that, okay, even when you're doing things 50-50, which before you have kids, of course, like why not? You're working probably before you met your partner. And when you combine into the same house, you're doing things like you do 50-50. Great. It's so like you can do that. But you're living in a house, cooking still needs to be done, cleaning still needs to be done. Like you still need to take care of the home and you still need to do laundry. Now, if like one of you can't go to work, but you're at home because biologically it is good for you and your children to be together in those early years of development, well, you're at home, you can still potter around the house and do the like cooking, like you have to cook and clean anyway. Like I just like it, for that to be oppressive, but you're not working, but he's working, but now he doesn't have to cook and clean. Like it just feels like a very like, yeah, okay, these are the responsibilities that need to be done. We're divvying up the responsibilities, and the privileges that come with that is that you don't have to do the other thing. And it's like a partnership.
Well, that's the thing I was just about to say. The partnership aspect, or if you want to look at it through the partnership lens, is often overlooked because you're just seeing it as roles instead of like, this is a team. And I think this is where people, you know, I've seen so many women up on their high horse after the Pocket episode, because they're like, well, why he needs to pay her superannuation. He needs to, I hope he's paying your superannuation because, you know, homelessness in women over 50 is a thing. It's the most common, like, yeah, maybe that's true, right? And I could actually give you a million other reasons why you could end up being homeless at age 50. And it's not because you don't want to, it's probably because you decided to get divorced and not work through your freaking marriage in the first place, or you chose a shitty partner. That's insensitive. It's very insensitive to say just that. And obviously I'm generalizing, but you don't just get to that place because of bad luck generally. Some people do. Most people don't.
No, but do you ever feel like your energy's tanking, foggy and tired all the time? Yeah, me too. Turns out that this could be low iron levels. Did you know 1 in 3 of us are iron deficient, and so many of the supplements out there are synthetic, they're harsh on your gut, and your body doesn't absorb them as well. What I love about Great Spirit is that their iron range is organic, it's made right here in Australia, and it's whole food based. So you're getting bioavailable minerals and nutrients. They've got thousands of happy customers, and honestly, the testimonials on their site are incredible. So if you want to check them out, you can head to greatspirit.com.au and use the code KASHIA20 to get 20% off your first order. Enjoy the energy boost. Wow, Kashia, how great is the quality of your new podcast, Return to Wisdom? Oh, mate, I know. I have been recording at Byron Bay's premium content and podcast recording studio, Pod Byron. They are epic. It's new, it's fresh, it's legit, as you can see. If you want to upskill your brand, if you want to create a course online, this is the place to do it. jump on at podbyron.com and be sure to check the show notes for a sneaky little discount on your first session. Pod Byron, that's where it's at. You. Like I'm going to push back on the bad luck situation because we are all, so like, here's the thing. We fought for autonomy. We fought for agency, right? So with that means that your personal decisions come into play. And with that means that you need to take responsibility for you. Like this is what feminism is. Like we want agency. We want to make the decisions for ourselves.
Yeah.
And if you're going to make your decisions and your choices, it's not bad luck. Like what comes out of that is that you need to take responsibilities for the outcomes of those decisions and choices that you've been given because of feminism, which is great, but also you can't blame everyone else if it doesn't turn out for you.
Yeah. And I also want to circle back on the superannuation thing because I kind of just, I think it's easy to say that when you're not married and you don't have kids because your sphere probably extends that far, which is not that far. And I don't mean that to be bitchy, but when you don't have a child and you're not married, you may not even live in the same household. That's probably all you think about. It's like, oh, money, money, money. But this is common knowledge. When you do get married or when you have been in a domestic partnership for what is it, like a certain amount of time, you're like automatically freaking liable. I mean, what's the word? Oh my God, my brain's farting.
You're
entitled. We've always entitled as women. We have a lot of entitlements.
Well, I think it's 6 months into a relationship and you're de facto.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so whatever this person earns, whatever this person accumulates, whatever you accumulate together is yours.
50-50.
And you may never have to fucking work a day in your life to get that. You may just be pottering around the home doing the terrible job of the laundry and cooking, which I fucking love cooking. But there's also that no one talks about is that you can be a stay-at-home mum and your partner could turn out to be a total dick and you're literally entitled to everything that you've built together, regardless of whether or the fact that he has paid your superannuation. Like, I just feel like that's often over missed too. Like we're entitled to whatever a man earns. And I don't see anyone really talking about that. Like, yeah, superannuation, cool, but you're also building, if you stop looking at it as what's he going to give me and I'm here, he's there, instead of looking at it like that, I feel like it's a really toxic way to look at it because when you get married, you obviously have a joint goal of like, this is my partner and what are we going to conquer in the world? Like, what are we going to achieve together? Whether that's building a family, we're building it together. And if you have this like, what if mindset or I better prepare myself for
the worst.
How do you authentically show up in that relationship without, and you know, I've spoken to a couple of girlfriends. I'm like, what if you're in a partnership, and I think I mentioned this to you, or you were married with kids and you find out that your husband has a secret bank account on the side and he's putting some of his money into that just in case he wants to divorce you later. How would you feel about that? I would be like, wait, what? You're preparing just in case? Like that feels wrong to me. Like, why would you not
put your all into this?
Put your all into this instead of thinking, oh, well, you know, she might leave me or I might fall out of love with her or she might get loco on me later. At least I'm safe. At least I've got my safety net over here because, you know, and some people might call that smart, but I call it, I don't know what the word is. It seems
propagating
like
gender wars. And here's the thing, when we go into a relationship, and I think this is where so many relationships do actually fall to pieces, because we're like taking this mindset of gender wars and like of needing to be guarded when we go into a relationship and needing to have A, B, and C because that person over there went through this and I don't want to go through that and make sure that I'm prepared for that. And I don't want to be in that person's situation either. But when we take all of this into our relationship, it's not even our own story. And then we're propagating this gender wars stuff. And you will notice that you find his breathing more annoying, that the way he chooses more annoying, that he's not responsive to A, B, and C. And it's because like we've got you've built a wall and you're not actually in the relationship. You're not you're not, what is it? Committed. There's no commitment there. You're not committed to the relationship. And so this is why people are in shitty relationships. You're like good. You're like good people, right? Good people. And they're just falling to pieces because they've got these like they're not, I don't know.
Well, it's like the over-diagnostic. I saw this recently, like, what are they calling it? I don't know, like the diagnosed.
Oh, yeah. So like everyone's got ADD now or ADHD?
Yes, that, but they're also personality grouping and trait grouping. So like suddenly you're Kashia, the this, that, and this and that. And now you're very aware of other people's this, that, and this and this. And it's like, oh, I'm no longer compatible if that person's this, or that. And they're like suddenly all these things. And it just stops you from having a really, you know, organic, natural human connection because you're looking at a bunch of other things. And I feel like if you think about that with marriage and partnership is we're doing that as well. It's like, oh, suddenly like men shouldn't leave their things around because that's bad. They're bad. And I'm in a bad relationship if he is, I don't know, whatever it is. It's like suddenly there's labels and there's good and bad and traits and this is unacceptable, this is acceptable and you should be doing this or a man should look like this and now a man should be more like this and doing all of these things. And so when your man's not doing those things, you're like, what? Suddenly you've got the ick and you're like encouraged to, I don't know.
Leave.
Just leave and find somebody else. And I think just touching back on the whole, you know, partner thing, it's like, it's not by bad luck that you end up, I think, in, and this is going to sound harsh, but bad luck in a relationship. It's more like two people who are shitty come together and form a shitty relationship for the lack of better understanding or words.
Even good people
but
just form a shitty relationship.
Good people can form a shitty relationship because they've got their own shitty things that they bring to the table. And so it's unlikely that, you know, it's just the man's fault or it's constantly just her fault or it's the lack of feminism in the relationship or the lack of, you know, understanding feminism in the relationship because he's not doing enough or like, yeah, I think it just extends a lot further than two people got in a relationship and now they don't want to be together or it's toxic, whatever you want to call it.
And I think let's asterisk this because we're not talking about relationships where there's actual domestic violence, abuse or
really shitty people.
Yeah. Like that they're like they're the ones that are like narcissistic or like with actual mental conditions. Now with therapy culture, we label everyone narcissistic. But I just wanted to put that little asterisk in there. Don't stay in a domestic violence situation. That we have to say this is ridiculous. But like one of the things that I just feel like we could avoid a lot of this tension and especially online tension and especially like the battle of the sexes thing is that if we come into a relationship, be like, hey, I want to build something with you, which if you're having children is generally the vibe.
Yeah.
We're building something together here. I'm going to do what I can to lift you up. And both parties feel that way. Like I want you to be the best version of yourself and I'm going to do what I can to ensure that you are the best version of yourself. Because
is that feminism?
When
I don't know.
But like when you are, like when you come into it that way, usually the little things like socks left on the floor. And by the way, in my relationship, he feels that way about me because Toga generally does most of the laundry. But like if it is the other way around, like those things won't really matter because it doesn't.
Yeah.
Because it's just,
it really doesn't matter.
It really like that's like minimal stuff. Like those little tiny teeny tipsy things get under your skin when you're like,
it doesn't equate to whether a man is good or not and worthy of like having a long-term relationship with. And that's why I see these women who are like flaunting their boyfriends who are very, I don't know, they're feminists and their husbands are in line, right? I think how overly exhausting that must be for both of them to make sure that they're constantly doing the thing that the woman needs. That's not, and that's not to say that men should not do things for their women, like they absolutely should. But like this, to the standard of which they've placed what is acceptable and what is not. And I also find it interesting, or maybe I should just say it like, if you're going to follow these people or try to learn more about it, choose your feminist with the family because it's the women who don't have kids and they're not even married or they don't even have a long-term relationship that are like setting the standard of what it should be. And that gives me the shits because I'm like, you have to have had experience what it is to be able to decide whether other women should do that and what's right and what's wrong. Like it's impossible. Like it honestly is impossible to do that, be financially provided for and go and do a job. Like there's so many different things. It's like my nervous system is like dying just
thinking about it.
Like, and there's families who do it. Like there's families where mum doesn't breastfeed, daycare, goes to work or has a nanny and everybody, and they say how happy their family is. Kudos to you. That's but just like, what you think.
You say that like because you're happy and maybe your husband's happy because he doesn't have to provide and like you also get to do like, and hey, I'm all for work. I'm here. I'm sitting here. I love it. I enjoy it. It's awesome. But
you don't have to be here though.
I don't have to be here. Yeah. No, I don't have to be here. And also I'm only here for very short periods of time. I can still breastfeed my child. She is with her dad.
Yeah.
Like we're like, we've kind of sorted this out. This is my very expensive hobby at this stage. In time, energy and money. But
yeah,
we like, and I think you can do that. Like you can still work as a mother, but still be the primary caregiver of your children and still be there for every breastfeed and still be there for like the stress buffering that you need to do for all the hormonal changes and shifts in that first 3 years. I
think that's the whole argument that they make about
like one or the other, very binary.
Yeah, about like they're not buying that women are just mums. And I wholeheartedly agree. Like I have a journal that is full of ideas and passions and projects and like the list is endless. And I think, call it depression if you never get to do any of those things. Maybe then. But it's not like I don't think the modern the stay at home, I don't know what we're calling the opposite to feminists. But
the oppressed.
You are oppressed. I don't think the oppressed.
We'll just label it the oppressed.
Fuck, now I've lost my train of thought. I just mean that like I think the concept or the idea that if you're a mum or you're a stay-at-home wife or you're the role of the primary nurturer and your man goes off to provide the money for you, that doesn't shut you down. That doesn't shut you down in the sense that like you no longer have hobbies, interests, passions, freedom and your own time to do whatever it is that you want. And I think that there's going to be seasons of that as well. And I think from my experience anyway, there's seasons when you have a lot of freedom in your life as a mother and a wife. And then there are seasons where you feel like you're going to die and you wonder if you're ever going to do anything for yourself again. And I think we're so quick to jump on that as like, how fucking bad is that? Like you deserve, like mama has to be put first and, you know, all of that. And I just think that there's a lack of really being able to zoom out and look at the big picture and be like, yeah, that's being in the trenches for a hot minute. That's not motherhood. That doesn't really represent the whole picture and what you're trying to achieve from start to the day you die and then you have grandchildren and whatever. But I think there's a lot of noise around the trenches and not necessarily the beautiful things that also occur in those, you know, ups and downs and being supported, like having a man that does go do his thing and provides you the money and the freedom and to do all those amazing things. Like I had insight the other week when I was, it was a Saturday or Sunday and Brenton had just left with all the kids and I just didn't know what to do for a minute. And I went out to the shed and just like cleared my pottery table, put on music and just got a slab out and just made new plates because my damn kids have been fucking dropping them like there's no tomorrow.
I saw that. That was amazing.
Like it was just a couple of hours and I don't know, I'm a mum who doesn't need like days and like, you know, all of that. But it just gave me so much insight to like, wow, how lucky am I? Because I get to be here and not have to think about where the next meal is coming from. The fact that like I don't have to worry about where I'm going to live next week or next month or next year when the lease runs out, or like I don't have to worry about servicing my car, my bills. I don't have to worry about anything. And how great I just had like that really like grateful moment. But I also wondered in the same time, like, had I be a boss bitch and be like not surrender to the motherhood, stay at home, what would those moments look like and would I ever get them? And would I be stressing about, like I couldn't think of anything worse than taking on the role of worrying about all that, like worrying about providing the home, the cars, the money, all of that. It's just like, I don't know. I don't think until you experience being in that dynamic, which you can all call privileged, I suppose.
But I think like that's the thing. None of these girls who were really like going off on this tangent understand motherhood and actually how quickly and how profoundly it changes your abilities and your brain. Like the actual structure of your brain is completely changed. Like you are completely, like pregnancy wires you specifically for that child to be alert, attentive and caring for that child. Now we're 5 deep and it doesn't stop. That doesn't end. And every child changes your brain again and makes your nervous system more wired, more sensitive to everything that child needs, which pulls you away from working. It pulls you away from like as someone who did work through my pregnancies and postpartums, not all of them, but you know, I can like see where it was so much harder to focus on work, to be present at work because my brain was with my children. You can't turn it off. You can't turn that off at all. Like right now, this is like in hobby format. So I can switch off for a few hours and chat to someone. It's freaking phenomenal. I love that. But when it's like work, and I mean, I was shooting weddings, so it was, 14-hour day. I'm thinking about my kids. Like my body's thinking about my kids. I'm still producing milk on the hours that my baby would be feeding. I'm still like, and it's not like you produce milk and you can just shut your brain connection off from your tits. They hurt. Yeah. You're like hurting. You're like, I'm longing for my baby to be feeding. Yeah. And actually, there was a podcast you were going to listen to, which I'm going to let everyone know she didn't. It was
how could you even trust that I would?
I don't know. I don't know. It was the Diary of a CEO recent podcast with Louise Perry, Erica Commissar, and I forget the last one's name, Deborah White Francis, I believe. Apologies, Deborah, when you listen to this. But they would like Deborah actually made a really good point. She's like, women are guilty. We don't need to worry about women feeling guilty. Women are so guilty. And she was very feminist stance. And it was funny because I'm listening to her saying like these women are feeling guilty because they have to go to work. These women are feeling guilty because if they're with their children, they're not they're not helping with providing. And I'm like, yes, yes. And then she's like, if women are doing both, they feel like they're not doing both. Well, look, I'm paraphrasing now. Maybe this was more my own thoughts, but it's like, yeah, I see it. I see women who go to work full time because they have to and they're feeling guilty that they're not with their children. I see women who are with their children and they're feeling guilty because they're not providing. And I see women who are doing both and it looks really balanced, but they're not doing either of them well and they feel fucking guilty about it. And I have been in that position before. And I'm like, Imagine if there was a time where there were very specific roles. And you had that role and you concentrated on it and like the whole community was like, yeah, you do this, he does that, and we support you guys in doing those things because they're the roles.
Yeah.
And you might be angry because you don't get to go into the field and do the ploughing or whatever, but you never felt guilty. You did really well the things that you're like, oh, this is my job, and I just do it, and that's it.
Out.
And now we have options, and I'm grateful for options too. I really am. I'm not trying to shit on that at all. I'm grateful for options. I still hate voting, and I still don't want to vote. But
it's for the safety. I feel like if I can be honest, it's for the feminism rights and everything. It's the safety of women. I feel like I can get on board with in a very easy way, but telling women how they should and shouldn't be living and their responsibilities and their roles and whatever, that's kind of like, I don't know, that's where I kind of have to,
well, we have I don't get
on board with, because I've experienced the whole thing, right? And I also know a lot of older women who were in this generation where they were told that going to work is a successful woman or that's a good woman, and they're rippled with health problems. They don't have great relationships. They may even be divorced. Like this is a very common picture, and there's a reason for that. It's not because they all just had bad luck. It's because they were biologically pulled and pushed into places that they probably should never have been. And I've felt that guilt so many times, by the way, in all the different parts of like, okay, at the start of pregnancy when I was working and my first ever baby, I felt so guilty saying, I can't do this anymore, I'm too tired. Guilty for that. And then guilty for not going back to work when everybody else was going back to work because I had someone who could provide. So I was guilty. I felt bad for the other women around me who had to go and I didn't. Not proud, guilty. And I felt guilty for wanting to have a couple of hours to myself as well. Even as a mum, I felt guilty for that as well. I felt guilty for being honest with you and saying, hey, babe, I can't do this podcast anymore. I'm sorry, because I've got roles and responsibilities that I biologically only I can do. And yeah, like where does that stop? The guilt. But something else that I did actually want to talk about biological, and you brought it up at the start about like the whole experience of killing our animals and stuff lately. That's the other thing. These people who live in Sydney and Melbourne in their apartments who are severed from what it is to be a human being will never understand the feelings of being put into a very masculine part of being human. And this didn't occur to me until we did kill our cows a couple of weeks ago. And I thought that because I've wired myself into knowing like these are not pets, our mission here is to be, self-sustaining. We're going to eat our animals. And so I never really built any relationship, so to speak, with my cows.
Dude, I would find that so difficult. I'd be like, that one's Daisy, one's Betty.
I loved that. I would go and like look at them and be like, love them and whatever, but no real. And I was like, oh, it'll be easy. And anyway, the day that we were killing them was so intense, and I did not see it coming, and I had to really like sit and analyze it, and it just made me realize. But like the moment where the three men, so Brenton, another guy, walked to the top of our hill in a paddock with a massive gun and held it to the cow's head, and just it went up with a sound. It was so guttural, and then the cows obviously just dropping one by one. And I was there just like holding the kids, and I was bawling, and I was like, the fuck, I did not expect this. And I'm like feeling really the feels of like, firstly, that the sight of the three men walking up with the gun. I was like, whoa, this is a man's world. There is no way you could get me even standing next to them while they do this. And it felt like there was nothing I wanted to do more than just hold the kids and move them inside and just shut the door and protect them in that sense. And
Did you, or did they see it?
No. Well, they could see through the window.
Yeah.
But that was so natural and so just like a very normal response to that. And it just made me realize like we could do that. Like I could if I had to. If like the world was ending and I had to feed my kids and I didn't have anybody else there, I could do it. It'd be really hard. But I don't have to do that because they're doing that. The men are doing that. And I just realized that just because we can doesn't mean we should. And what would happen to my whole body, like on a cellular level, if I did have to do that? And like it just felt so much, I don't know. So there's that whole physiological response, and it's just not what we should do, but they can do it. And that is providing on a whole like another level for their family and to eat food. And only they can do that like that. Just walk up there and be like, and then, pull the carcass down and, the whole thing, I'm not going to go into it just in case you're a vegan, is such a masculine energy to be in, and not one that I feel as a woman I could do with ease. And zooming out, obviously we can relate that to the world and what it is to be human together in partnership and our roles, our responsibilities, and not fight that. But I don't think you can feel that, really understand it until you leave that bubble and fully experience that. Like I don't think you get the shock of it.
Yeah. Well, because you're not feeling the discomfort of what it is to do that opposite role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess you could experience it when the man is staying at home.
We need to wrap it up.
Okay. Just like that.
Just like that. I've got somewhere to take you.
We're going on a date, guys. To be continued, okay?
We're going on a date. We could have sat here for so long and chatted. But I will quickly say thank you for coming.
We'll do another chat because I feel like
please.
I'm
going to make it quite regular because I feel like we just don't get to chat.
We're going to comma right now. So we'll continue this conversation in the sauna.
But this is going to be my first episode for the Return to Wisdom podcast. So thank you, everyone. If you have moved over to this channel, I'm really excited. I've got a few quite epic guests, which is exciting, nerve-wracking. Doing it by myself is definitely an experience, and hoping I will improve my interviewing skills to be able to fill the boots of this chick who's left me on the pavement.
She tries guilt tripping me every time.
Don't feel guilty though.
I refuse.
No. I'm really glad. I think we're both happy for each other, and
everyone come and listen.
There's going to
support her.
Yeah, thank you, and we'll see you all next week.
You won't see me though.
You won't. I will. I'll see you
next week.
And then in a few weeks' time, you'll see Chloe because I'm going to book her up.
Yeah.
All right. Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining me today. If this ignited a flame for you, please share, follow the show, and leave a review. The more support and subscriptions the show gets, the more powerful and credentialed guests I can bring on to deepen these conversations. I appreciate you being here, and I will see you next week.